Hello everybody, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. The following presentation has been produced by Health, formerly known as Worcester Street Surgery. This video is designed to run alongside our online blood pressure management service known as InControl, and we would suggest that you use this alongside the advice from your healthcare professional. Hello there, this is Dr. John Woolley. And I want to thank you for watching the second of 3 videos designed to help you understand a little bit more about cholesterol. In this second video, we're going to discuss cholesterol results. And if this is the first video that you're looking at, I would advise you to watch the first in this series to try and help get a basic understanding about what cholesterol is. One of the biggest misconceptions out there when it comes to discussing cholesterol results is that there is one particular level that defines whether your cholesterol is high, low or normal. That is simply not true, and what I hope to do is to bring along the concept that cholesterol is about more than simply your total cholesterol. In order to look a little bit more closely at your cholesterol results, we've decided to look at 2 main figures. On your summary sheet, you will find the results of 2 main types of cholesterol. The first is total cholesterol and the second is HDL. We're now going to talk about each in a little bit more detail. The first one I want to talk about is your total cholesterol. Now, what your total cholesterol means, simply, is the total amount of cholesterol that is found in your bloodstream. When people talk about cholesterol, they're always referring to this total figure. Yet in reality, its importance has at times been over-exaggerated. The only time a total cholesterol alone is of significance is if it's extremely high. And we define that by a very high reading of over 7.5. Should this be the case, we will be discussing with you whether there may be a genetic reason for this, and that may well mean some further assessments. The other figure that we're interested in is something called HDL, or good cholesterol. For those that watched the previous video, you should hopefully understand that we refer to this as good cholesterol because this is the cholesterol that is associated with benefit and reductions in cholesterol levels within our blood vessels. The reason why we want to make you aware of it is simply that the proportion of HDL compared to total cholesterol is thought to be extremely important. When we look at cholesterols, what we ideally want is for your HDL to be at least 25% of the total figure. This proportion just gives us an indication as to whether your cholesterol levels are good or bad, but it doesn't actually define it. That's not to say that if that proportion is less or higher, then somebody's cholesterol is necessarily good or bad, because I think everybody can do something about their cholesterol levels. But statistically and evidence-wise, a 1 in 4 or a 25% of your total cholesterol being HDL or more is thought to be beneficial. So unless your cholesterol is very high, cholesterol levels simply give us a guide. And we hope to explain this further in the following examples. So what we intend to do now is just go through a couple of examples. This one in front of you shows some cholesterol results. On your patient summary sheet, what you will see is a serum total cholesterol result and a serum HDL cholesterol result. For the time being, just ignore the triglycerides. As we have explained earlier, the first step is to look at your total cholesterol level. This has been highlighted in red. The second step is to check that this level is less than 7.5, simply because, as we've already explained, a level of greater than 7.5 suggests that there may be a genetic reason as to why the cholesterol is so high. We're now going to look at your HDL level, which, as we've said, is found at the bottom, and here it's 1.5. The fourth step is to check that the proportion of HDL when compared to the total cholesterol is at least 25%. When I'm looking at these figures and when I'm trying to explain them to patients, I sometimes draw a pie diagram similar to this. This basically represents the percentage of HDL compared to the total. In this case, it's about 26%, which is actually okay. In this second example, we once again have your total cholesterol level at the top and your HDL cholesterol level at the bottom. As before, we want you to look at your total cholesterol level first and check that this is less than 7.5. I'd now like you to look at your HDL level on this particular example. Here, the HDL level is 0.9, and if we compare the proportions of this HDL level when compared to the total cholesterol, what we actually find is that the HDL in this case only makes up about 20%. If we just compare the two examples together, if you cast your mind back, the first example showed a patient with a total cholesterol of 5.8 millimoles. When we looked at the proportion though of how much of this was HDL, we found that there was 25+% of HDL. The second example had a total cholesterol of 4.4, yet when we looked at the proportions of HDL, this was less than 25% at 20. The reason for making a point of this isn't to prove that one set of cholesterol results are necessarily better than the other, but that there's much more to cholesterol than simply what our total cholesterol results are. So we've spoken about a few examples, and now we're going to touch on how we can actually improve our cholesterol proportions. There isn't actually a huge amount that we can do about our HDL levels, simply because they're essentially inbuilt. So we will focus on our total cholesterol. And there's no better place to start than lifestyle. When we talk about lifestyle, and I want to reiterate again that there is much more information in the healthy living aspects of our website, and particularly in relation to cholesterol, we are really talking about saturated fat content. Thanks to changes in food labelling, it is now much clearer than ever before about which foods contain high levels of saturated fats. As a general rule, certain dairy products such as cheese and cream tend to have quite high levels of saturated fats. And likewise, certain meat, primarily red meat, can also tend to have highest levels of this type of fat. But what's important is that we get into the habit of looking, because we can often find some quite surprising things when we look at salts or fat levels or sugar levels in many of the common things that we eat without giving it a second thought. Having addressed some of our lifestyle measures, there are occasions when we do start or offer somebody cholesterol lowering medication. As already mentioned in this presentation, if your cholesterol level is very high, then we might do so. But in all other circumstances, we would only offer you a statin based on your overall cardiovascular risk, not on your individual cholesterol result itself. And that's why sometimes it may seem odd that we would offer you a statin if your cholesterol levels may on the face of it seem low. But just remember, for us to offer you statins in this situation, it's based on other factors, some of which are modifiable such as smoking, blood pressure, those sort of things, and some which are non-modifiable, like age and sex. We will discuss with you the rationale behind any offer of a statin, and what I'd suggest we do at this point is have a look at our next presentation, which discusses statins in a little bit more detail and tries to address some of the dilemmas that often face patients when it comes to starting statins. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video.